The woman was crying when she flagged down the taxi. Behind her, an aggressive man was following her. "Please, I need help," she said to Frank. Frank was 69, alone. Police would take 15 minutes to arrive. But Frank wasn't afraid, because 30 years ago, he'd faced much more dangerous situations. In the Army, Frank Torres had been driving the same city streets for 25 years. Every night he started at 8 p.m., finished his shift at 6 a.m. Yellow cab, number 247. Old model, but clean, reliable, always in working condition. Frank was 69 years old, gray-haired, weathered face, but kind eyes. Customers trusted him. Late-night rides, airport runs, hospital emergencies. Frank was always professional and caring. "When you get in Frank's taxi, you feel safe," said regular customer Mrs. Chen. "He's like having a protective father driving you." Downtown area was Frank's specialty. Bars, restaurants, hotels, the center of nightlife. Drunk customers, difficult passengers, sometimes dangerous situations. But Frank dealt with every situation calmly and patiently. "Never seen Frank lose his cool," said dispatcher Maria. "Guy's got nerves of steel." In Frank's glove compartment, next to the registration papers, sat a small velvet box. Inside was a purple heart medal. Afghanistan, 2005. Nobody knew it existed. Other drivers respected Frank. Most experienced, most reliable, best at handling problematic situations. But nobody knew about his military background. "Frank's just solid," said fellow driver Carlos. "You know he's got your back if things get rough." Night shift was challenging. Drunk passengers, aggressive behavior, occasional criminal activity. Frank had seen everything in 25 years, and he'd always remained professional. Until the night he met Dr. Lisa Martinez. Friday night, 1:45 a.m. Frank had just dropped off his last passenger downtown in the medical district. Near St. Mary's Hospital, while waiting for the next call, his radio crackled. "Car 247, pick up at Mercy General, emergency entrance." "Copy, heading there now." Calls from hospital emergency rooms were normal. Doctors, nurses, family members, medical emergencies happened at all hours. Frank quickly drove to the pickup location. At the emergency entrance, a young woman was waiting. Latina, early 30s, wearing medical scrubs. Clearly a doctor or nurse. But she looked distressed, nervous, frequently looking over her shoulder. Frank rolled down his window. "You called for a taxi?" "Yes, please. I need to get home quickly." Dr. Lisa Martinez, emergency room physician, had just finished a 12-hour shift, exhausted, ready to go home. But while walking to the parking garage, someone had started following her. "Address? 1247 Oak Street, please? And, could we go quickly?" Frank noticed her nervousness. "Everything okay, miss?" I think someone's been following me." Frank looked around the parking area. Dark, mostly empty, poor lighting. Not a safe place for a woman alone at 2 a.m. "Get in," Frank said, unlocking the doors. "You're safe now." Dr. Lisa climbed into the back seat, visibly relieved. Frank started driving toward Oak Street, keeping an eye on his mirrors. "What happened?" Frank asked gently. "I was leaving work, walking to my car. This man approached me, asking for money. When I said no, he became aggressive, started following me, making threatening comments." Frank's expression hardened. "Did you call police?" "I tried, but my phone battery died. I just wanted to get away." That's when Frank saw headlights in the mirror. A car following them, maintaining distance. Same pattern he'd learned to recognize in Afghanistan. Surveillance technique. "Ma'am, we might still have a problem." Frank watched the rearview mirror carefully. Dark sedan, 2 cars back, matching every turn. Professional follow, not amateur behavior. "What is it?" Dr. Lisa asked, sensing the tension. "Car behind us. Been following since the hospital." Dr. Lisa turned around, saw the headlights. "Oh God, what do we do?" Frank's military training kicked in. Situational assessment. One armed follower. Assumption. Civilian in vehicle. Unknown intentions. Police response time unknown. Stay calm. I'm going to lose them. Frank took a sudden right turn onto a side street. The follower maintained pursuit. Left turn. Another right. Still following. Ma'am, what's your full name? Dr. Lisa Martinez. I'm an emergency room physician. Dr. Martinez, I need you to stay low and call 911. Use my phone. Frank handed her his cell phone while navigating through the residential area. Tactical driving, using traffic patterns, and geography to break pursuit. Behind them, the sedan was getting more aggressive, closing distance, trying to cut off escape routes. 911, what's your emergency? This is Dr. Lisa Martinez. I'm being followed by someone who threatened me. I'm in a taxi, we're being pursued. Frank made a quick decision. Instead of continuing evasion, he pulled into a 24-hour gas station, well-lit, security cameras, potential witnesses. Get ready to run inside if necessary, Frank told Dr. Lisa. The sedan pulled into the gas station behind them. The driver got out, tall, aggressive-looking man in dark clothes. Started walking toward the taxi. Frank got out to meet him. That's far enough, Frank said calmly. Old man, this ain't your business. The lady and I need to have a conversation. She doesn't want to talk. Time for you to leave. The man laughed. You gonna stop me, Grandpa? That's when Frank's posture changed completely. Frank straightened up, shoulders squared, voice dropped to a command tone that hadn't been heard since Afghanistan. Son, you have exactly 10 seconds to get back in your car and leave. Something in Frank's demeanor made the man hesitate. Military bearing, absolute confidence, zero fear. Who the fuck do you think you are? Sergeant Frank Torres, 10th Mountain Division, and right now I'm the man standing between you and that woman. The man pulled a knife from his jacket. Back off, old man, or I'll cut you. Frank didn't flinch. Instead, he stepped forward. Son, I've been threatened by professionals. You're not one. What happened next took exactly 8 seconds. Frank moved with precision that surprised everyone, including himself. He disarmed the attacker using techniques learned in close-quarters combat training. The man was on the ground, knife 20 feet away, Frank standing over him calmly. Stay down, Frank commanded. Police are coming. The gas station attendant had called security after seeing the confrontation. Dr. Lisa was safe inside the store, watching through the window in amazement. Police arrived 6 minutes later, found the attacker restrained, weapon secured, situation completely under control. Sir, what happened here? Officer Johnson asked Frank. Man was following and threatening the lady. He pulled a knife. I disarmed him. How did you disarm him? Frank looked uncomfortable. Military training? What branch? Army, long time ago. Officer Johnson looked at the tactical precision of the restraint, professional weapon control. Sir, what was your MOS? Infantry, 10th Mountain Division. Deployment? Frank hesitated. Afghanistan, 2005 se 2004. After police took the attacker away, Dr. Lisa approached Frank. I don't know how to thank you. You saved my life. Just doing what anyone would do, ma'am. No, that wasn't normal. The way you moved, the way you handled him. Where did you learn that? Frank was putting away items that had fallen from his pocket during the confrontation. Dr. Lisa saw something metallic hit the ground. She picked it up. Purple heart metal in a small protective case. Frank, this is yours? Frank looked at the metal in her hands, a secret he'd kept for 25 years, out in the open. Yes, ma'am. Dr. Lisa read the inscription. For wounds received in action against enemy of United States, Afghanistan, 2005. Frank, you're a wounded veteran? Yes, ma'am. IED explosion outside Bagram. Lost 3 soldiers that day. Dr. Lisa's eyes filled with tears. And you've been driving taxi all these years? Honest work. Helps people get where they need to go safely. But why didn't you ever mention your service? Frank took the medal back gently. Because that's not who I am anymore. I'm a taxi driver. I help people. The war is over. Frank, you're a hero. Ma'am, heroes don't survive wars. Soldiers do. We just try to keep serving when we get home. Dr. Lisa looked at this man who'd just saved her life. Humble taxi driver who was actually a decorated combat veteran. What you did tonight wasn't just taxi driver behavior. Frank smiled slightly. Ma'am, I've been protecting passengers for 25 years. Tonight wasn't different. Just had to use different skills. The story spread quickly. Gas station security footage showed the confrontation. Social media picked up the story. Local news wanted interviews. Taxi driver uses military training to stop attacker. Afghanistan, veteran protects. Doctor from assault. Hidden hero. Drives city streets for 25 years. Frank tried to avoid publicity, but Dr. Lisa felt compelled to share the story. People need to know, she told a reporter. Frank Torres isn't just a taxi driver. He's been protecting this community for decades. Local veteran organizations reached out. Fellow taxi drivers looked at Frank with new respect. Passengers specifically requested his cab. I always felt safe with Frank, regular customer Mrs. Patterson told the news crew. Now I know why. Frank continued working normal shifts, but the atmosphere had changed. Customers thanked him for his service. Fellow drivers asked about his military experience. Veteran passengers shared their own stories. Frank, fellow driver Carlos said, "Why didn't you ever tell us you were a war hero?" "Because I'm not a war hero, Carlos. I'm a taxi driver who happened to serve in the military. But the Purple Heart? The medal represents the sacrifice of soldiers who didn't make it home. I drive taxi in their memory." 3 days after the incident, Frank received an unexpected call. "Mr. Torres, this is Colonel Jennifer Hayes, 10th Mountain Division. I heard about your actions the other night." Frank paused. "Yes, ma'am? I wanted to personally thank you. What you did represents the finest traditions of our division." "Thank you, Colonel." "Mr. Torres, we're having a veterans reunion next month. Your unit, Afghanistan deployment? Would you consider attending?" Frank had avoided military reunions for 15 years. Too many memories. Too much grief. "I'll think about it, ma'am." Word spread in the veteran community. Combat veterans started specifically calling Frank's taxi. Military families requested him for airport runs to welcome returning soldiers. A young veteran named Marcus Rodriguez, recent Iraq deployment, had PTSD struggles. He called Frank's cab after a therapy session. "Mr. Torres, I heard you served. Iraq veteran, having a tough time adjusting." Frank looked in the mirror at the young soldier, recognized the pain in his eyes. "Where you headed, son?" "Anywhere. Just need to talk to someone who understands." Frank drove slowly through the city, letting Marcus talk. "How do you do it, sir?" "How do you live a normal life after combat?" Frank considered the question carefully. "Son, there's no such thing as normal life after combat. There's just life with purpose." "What do you mean?" "Military taught us to serve, to protect, to matter. That doesn't end when you take off the uniform. It just changes shape." "But driving taxi, how is that serving?" Frank stopped at a red light, turned to face Marcus. "Son, every night I drive these streets, I meet people who need help. Drunk college kids needing safe rides home. Elderly people getting to medical appointments. Women like Dr. Martinez needing protection." Frank continued driving. "My rifle protected soldiers in my unit. My taxi protects civilians in my community. Different weapon, same mission." Marcus nodded slowly. "Never thought of it that way. Military gave us skills, instincts, commitment to service. The key is finding a way to use them in the civilian world." More veterans started seeking Frank out. His taxi became an unofficial counseling service for struggling military personnel. 6 months later, Dr. Lisa contacted Frank with a special request. "Frank, I'm organizing a medical conference on trauma treatment. Would you speak about veteran transition and community service?" "Ma'am, I'm not a speaker. I'm a taxi driver." "Frank, you've helped more veterans than most therapists. Your story matters." Frank reluctantly agreed. The conference was held at a downtown hotel. Audience of doctors, nurses, therapists, veteran counselors. Frank wore his best shirt and tie, uncomfortable at the podium. "I wasn't planning to speak today," Frank began, "but Dr. Martinez convinced me." He looked out at the audience of medical professionals. 6 months ago, Dr. Martinez was attacked outside the hospital where she saves lives every day. I happened to be the taxi driver who picked her up. Frank paused, gathering his thoughts. People ask me why a taxi driver needs military skills. The answer is, he doesn't. But humans helping humans sometimes requires whatever tools you have. He looked at the veterans in the audience. For military personnel transitioning to civilian life, your skills translate. Protection, service, situational awareness, these are needed everywhere. Find your taxi. Find a way to keep serving. Frank held up his Purple Heart, which he'd brought for the first time. This medal represents the sacrifice of soldiers who gave everything. Wearing it means continuing their mission of service, whatever form that takes. A young veteran in the audience raised his hand. "What's your advice for finding purpose after service?" Frank smiled. "Don't look for big missions. Look for daily opportunities to help. Might be driving taxi, might be teaching, might be medical care. Purpose isn't in the size of the mission, it's in the commitment to service." As the conference ended, Frank returned to his taxi. Evening shift starting, the city needing safe transportation. Dr. Lisa found him in the parking garage. "Frank, that was an incredible speech." "Thank you, ma'am. But my shift starts in 20 minutes. After everything, the recognition, the speeches, the media attention, you're still driving taxi?" Frank smiled, adjusting his rearview mirror. "Ma'am, this city has people who need safe rides home. That's not a job for heroes. That's a job for servants." "And if another doctor, Martinez, needs protection?" Frank's expression grew serious. "Then Sergeant Torres comes back for as long as necessary." The radio crackled. "Car 247, pick up at hospital, emergency entrance." Frank responded, "Copy, heading there now." He drove toward the hospital, the same route he'd driven 1,000 times before, protecting his city, one passenger at a time. Same soldier, different battlefield.